Live.
People of the internet, people of the VR world, welcome one and all to Season 1, Episode 2 of Virtually Rek't. If you're here, you're part of the Rekin Krew. This is me and Mac in VR. I am Shuey from PowerOnVR. We have Mac in VR himself, the legend, the god. We are going to be chatting about some interesting games today. Plenty of them. And let's start off. Mac, how has your week been? How has your 2 weeks been?
Oh, wow, mate. It's been great. Since the last podcast, right? So one of the things I want to talk about is Hitman VR. It released onto PC VR on last week. And I was pretty harsh in my review. I must admit.
Yes, you were.
Harsh. I was. Basically, the game's too expensive. It's if you go to the Epic Games Store, it's £50, $49.99 in the UK, and if you go to the Steam Store, it's £50, $49.99 in the UK. I bought it in December because I wanted to get a bit of practice in before the game came out, and I got it for £7.
Because it's an old game.
Because it's an old game. It's a year-old game. I joined the Epic Games Store. I opened an account. I got a £10 off voucher. The game was £20. And when I bought it, I got 30% off, so I got it for £7. £20 is a good price. £20 is a great price.
Because, I mean, it was a great pancake game, right?
I mean, mate, it's like, as I said in my review, like Hitman is up there to me with Gears of War, Halo, as like those games that I look forward to. I mean, my wife bought me an Elite controller for Christmas just so I could play Halo Infinite. That's how important it is to me. And Hitman is a great pancake game. Unfortunately, it's not a particularly great. No, I'm not going to say it's a bad VR game because it isn't. It's not a great port. They've basically ported the PSVR version to PC. Yeah, you're shaking your head. Yeah, you absolutely agree with me there, don't you? It's
100%.
Yeah, instead of doing a nuts and bolts to VR, PC VR, like they did with Resident Evil 4, which I uphold as a great example of how to put a flat screen game into VR, and they did it really well. It has its issues, but it's taken a great game and it's put it into VR and made it fantastic. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about was my my review was a little bit harsh because I
think honestly, when I was watching you on live stream doing the review of Hitman, right? Because, fair enough, you did an actual review, but your live stream while you were playing it, you were so frustrated.
Oh, I was.
And understandably so. We are at a point in history where I don't want to press A to pick up thing. I don't want to press A to turn a door handle. We've been doing that in VR for years now. Yeah. We've been literally turning the freaking everything. Yeah. Like, absolutely everything. Look at, like, even in After the Fall, right? Yes, there's a lot of easy mechanics, but the level where you actually turn the crank, right? That's a simple thing we've been doing in VR for a while. Yeah. Sorry, cut you off, but yes, it angered me.
It absolutely, yeah. I think I had a bit of a flake out during the live stream when I was trying to put a fuse into a fuse box. And I had the fuse in my hand, and I put the fuse there, and then I was like, press B. I was like, why do I have to press B? There's the fuse box. Right, so we've gone a little bit off target, right? So, I'm going to say, so we're just going to have a quick thing. Like, Doomsly's here. Hi, Doomsly. Henry's here. Weeble's here, and Surgical's here, and Crash is here. So, Rekin Krew. Cheers,
welcome,
boys.
Rekin Krew.
Right. So, IOI, the devs, they released a hot fix on Saturday, which basically completely fixed the game. It didn't change the button press mechanics. It didn't change that sort of stuff. But it basically allowed me, with my PC, to pumped the graphics up to high ultra, and then I played again on Monday. I live streamed again on Monday, and it was completely different game. Completely different game. I mean, I'll hold my hands up. Like, when the game released, it was bad. It was poor. But the hotfix on Saturday fixed the game. It's still too expensive, and the best way to experience Hitman is to get the Xbox Game Pass for 3 months for £1, because then you get the full PC VR version. That's the best way to do it. So even if you don't have an Xbox, I don't have an Xbox, get the Xbox Game Pass, get Hitman, the full trilogy as well, 1, 2, and 3, and you can get it for £1 for the next 3 months. Play it.
Purely based on the price, right? Purely based on the fact that it's 50 quid. And yes, there is obviously some issue with it being £1, or no, not £1, that's ridiculous. Like £7 to £10 or £20 or whatever it was, less than, say, a month ago.
Yeah.
Bearing that in mind, is the price annoying you because we are so used to the, and I'm going to put this in big fucking air quotes, AAA VR games? Are we so used to them coming out at what is frankly a ridiculously low price as far as games are concerned in the modern age? Like, we're used to paying 60, 70 pounds for a game, and VR games, typically the sort of the, once again, AAA, for those of you who are listening to this rather than watching, in big air quotes, games, we're used to paying, say, $30 for them.
Yeah.
So is the fact that it's a £50 game annoying mainly because of that, or is it because it was cheaper and it's now more expensive just because they've released the VR mod? Let's call it a mod, because that's what it is.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Right, I'm going to go back to an old favourite here, which is Medal of Honor. Like, Medal of Honor cost £50 when it came out. £50, and it was poor. And that was a AAA title. They released it on the, obviously, like, they released it on the Quest 2 a little bit later, which, you know, the fact that they managed to port it into the Quest 2 is still amazing to me.
Yeah.
But it was, again, it was like £50. And I keep going back to this point because, like, to me, value for money is one of the main things that is like so important on my channel. So, quick segue: when Zero Caliber Reloaded launched on the Quest 2, it was poor, and I didn't recommend it. A week later, they patched it. It was better. I said, yeah, actually, I can see what they're going to do. It's worth buying because I can see that they are going to do X, Y, and Z and make it better. After the 5th patch, Zero Caliber is one of my favourite co-op games. And it cost £20, or it cost £22.99, I think. And I've played 50 hours. So how £50 for Medal of Honor, 8 to 10 hours, and then you're never going to play it again. £22.99 for Zero Caliber, 50 hours, and I'll probably go back and play it still with my friends.
That is dependent on how much of a gun nut you are, I think.
Yeah.
And I use that not in a derogatory way whatsoever. Because Zero Caliber, I love playing with people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like playing it on my own. I find it boring.
Yeah.
But you stick any conversation with any reasonable human being in that game, and it becomes an absolute fucking amazing experience.
It's brilliant.
Like, even sitting in the this is the thing, right? I've never played it on Quest. Never played it on Quest. I've always played it on PC.
Yeah.
And part of the reason for me not buying the Quest version is mainly down to they don't have they still don't have the armory, right?
No, they don't. No.
No, and that's a big part of it for me, is going down to the armory before we go into the game, loading up with my friends, you know, really choosing that weird and wonderful weapon that you want to play with, whether it's like a golden Desert Eagle with like 1,000 different attachments,
Yeah.
and basically all singing, all dancing, like drone strikes on it and things like this. But it's a great game, and it's you're right, it's cheap. And Medal of Honor, I mean, I slated Medal of Honor hard, and I got a lot of pushback on this one because
I did too.
yeah, it was a great idea to port it to the Quest. It was a really great idea.
Yeah.
I still don't know quite how they got 130 gigabytes down to 42 gigabytes. I'm still not 100% sure how they managed that, other than the fact that I'm pretty sure they got a bit lazy with it because some of the texture packs are truly disgustingly bad.
Yeah.
You cannot buy that game, in my opinion. You cannot buy that game for the single player and be happy.
No.
However, the multiplayer is a good laugh.
Yeah, it is. But unfortunately, as with happened with the PC VR version, the multiplayer died. Go and play Medal of Honor now, and you'll be playing against bots and one guy from fucking Venezuela. Pardon my
I was going to say, don't get confused by the fact that there are bots. Don't think for a second they're real people. They will stand there and they will gobble up bullets like you wouldn't believe. Like they will stand there either facing you or facing away, and you will happily take down every single one.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like a 30-to-1 kill death ratio, after about 3 games, it got a bit boring. You know what I mean? I like to be challenged, though not too much.
At some point, you just pick up the shotgun, right? Because you can just go the entire map with a shotgun at that point. You don't even need to have any bloody range, because you can just walk up and say, "Would you like to give my shotgun a blowjob?" There we go.
Would you like to insert
Here's
this into your
reward. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
It's a disappointment, but as with everything in VR, I mean, this is a conversation that we were going to have eventually.
Yeah.
And we may as well have it now if we're segueing onto it a little bit. When it comes to games dying, specifically with multiplayer games, we've seen that in the PC, Xbox, PlayStation game space forever. Yeah. But there is always a small, loud and proud group of people that usually stick around for it.
Yeah.
In VR, unless the game is, say, like Population 1, and that still sort of expands and then comes back down, and then expands and comes back down.
It does, yeah.
But it always has a reasonable play group of people. It's very rare at the moment that you get stuck in lobbies with, say, 12 people.
Yeah.
Like, you do get full lobbies at least.
Yeah.
But most games that I see in VR, excluding obvious ones like VR Chat and Neos and things like that, the player base for them, they drop off so quickly. Like, everything just ebbs and flows with the release dates and the reviewers.
Yeah, it does.
Is that something you've experienced?
Yeah, it is. That's a good point, actually, because and I'm gonna use Larcenauts as a fantastic example. There is that when Larcenauts launched, I didn't like it. About a month later, the devs reached out to me and asked me to go back and play it again. And I went with Surgical, I went with Face. I think we had Crash, we had Fire VR. And we basically had a team of 6, and we got fucking stomped by a team of very high level, very well organized people. And we're like, all right, okay, fair enough. And then we started to get organized, and then we started stomping. But we kept coming across this same team, and we realized there was only about 100 people playing.
Well, as in, like, total?
Total.
Not just that night, just total?
That's total, yeah. So Larcenauts, as good as it is now, and I can't diss it, because if you've got Larcenauts, go back and play it now, because it is fucking good. It's the devs have, like, they've got it really well polished, but there's only 100 people playing, and out of those 100 people, you've got maybe 20 or 30 people who are dedicated, like you said, you have that hardcore, and they will absolutely destroy you if you come across them, and it doesn't make the game fun, which is unfortunate.
Let me just hold you there a sec, Mac. We've got a couple of people in the chat saying, can you turn your volume up slightly on your mic?
On my mic. Oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. Where are we?
Although Serge does say to Weeble that he just needs to turn his hearing aid up. So,
Doomslice asked a question. He said, Mac, are you hyped for Zenith? Mate, we're going to come back to Zenith. So, yeah. Just
Yeah, no,
hold tight,
Zenith
mate.
is on the menu.
It is on
It
the menu.
is on the menu.
It is on the menu. Right. So we as has happened and will happen obviously as the podcasts get on. We have segued away from the original problem, which was we were talking about Hitman.
Yep.
So I just want to quickly go back to that before we move on, because whatever the devs did on Saturday, and I don't understand why you release a game and then 2 days later and get bad press, and then 2 days later released a patch which basically fixes everything that everybody was complaining about, apart from the fact it's a PSVR port, which, to be honest, the more you play you kind of get used to it. Why release a game that's broken and then 2 days later fix it when all the bad press has already come out?
I have a feeling, right? Like, I haven't. This is from somebody who has not played Hitman VR, and part of it is because of the price, and part of it is because I haven't had time. Mainly, it was because I saw how bad it was going for you in the stream. Like, I was literally ready to click the purchase button. My opinion of why they did this and why, because I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because I've loved IO. It's IO Interactive, right?
Yeah.
I've loved that company since the very first Hitman. Like, that was one of my favorite games. Like, that Chinatown mission was just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, I've loved them. So, in my opinion, is giving them the benefit of the doubt. What I think it is that they released it, and they must have found something that was very easy, like a small piece of code somewhere that must have done a lot of damage.
Yeah.
What I think it must have been is that it's possible that they got it all ready and gone, and then they released an earlier version. That's what I think must have happened.
Right, yeah.
Because 2 days is, you cannot hotfix things that bad in 2 days unless it is something small, or it is a completely wrong version of the release.
Yeah. So from my understanding, and before I became a YouTuber, I hated Twitter. But one of the great things about Twitter is you can reach directly out to developers. And I tweeted IOI, and they said it's a cache problem. There was something, the game was, I'm not a computer programmer. I don't know what a cache is, but they basically said the game was caching, C-A-C-H-E, cache.
Yeah, caching.
It was caching. It was caching that was causing the stuttering, and they found a fix.
Okay, so it was yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's a it's not a small problem, that's a huge problem. But if they manage to find a fix for something that quickly, then great.
Yeah.
I can only hope that they actually develop it more, but as with so many other VR games, I just don't see it happening.
Right, I'm just going to quickly go to the chat because HB's just appeared. Weeble,
hey, HB,
Weeble, turn your hearing aid up. Yeah, Doomsly is the menu follow. The awesome. Okay, right.
Yeah,
okay.
no, it sounds like a Cyberpunk situation. Yeah, it's similar, except for Cyberpunk had it was simply released way too early. No, without a doubt, it was released way too early. With this, at least, they had a vision for it. It was essentially just a port of the PSVR version. They weren't too interested in taking it much further than that, except for things like the throwing mechanics, which I think, if I'm remembering right, you quite enjoyed.
Yeah, it's because basically you have to point with your right hand and then flick with your left hand, and when it works, it does work really well. So I quite enjoyed that. So basically the showpiece of Hitman 3 is when you walk up the stairs of the Burj Al Ghazali and you go into that big space. And you have all the people there and the Sheikh's doing his... and after the hotfix, it worked really well. It proper... When I did the live stream, there's a bit where I look down, I realise I'm stood on the glass floor and I'm 200 feet up. And I don't...
Awesome.
I don't suffer from... because of my job, I don't suffer from height like any problems with heights. It's not the height that bothers me. It's the falling and hitting the ground that actually kills you. But
Yes, I've tried to explain this to my kids repeatedly.
But you're actually in the live stream, and my wife watched it, and she said, "Oh, when you realised the floor was glass, you stepped onto a piece of metal with your feet." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I actually did." And like, to me, that's like the balcony scene in Half-Life Alyx. And if you've ever played Half-Life Alyx, you know what the balcony scene is in Half-Life Alyx. You basically, you've never ever experienced anything like it in your life. And Hitman actually managed to do that. And I was so pleased when I did the live stream on Monday that they'd actually fixed it. They haven't fixed the game. I don't like the press B to do this. But yeah, if you love Hitman, you have to play it in VR. It's fucking expensive though.
I was going to say, is it at this point in time, bearing in mind that I have a long history of enjoying Hitman in all of its iterations, even what was the weird one before Absolution that was kind of jank?
It was. Oh yeah, I know
No,
which one.
Contract? No, was it Contracts?
It's the one that put me off. It's the one that put me off the franchise. And then
Anyway, yeah. I was going to say, right. So, knowing that, is it worth me buying at the full price point?
No.
Knowing that somebody else mentioned earlier, I can't remember who it is. Someone in the chat mentioned earlier that they are now giving the deluxe version. Oh, it was Mick M. Cheers for the information, my man. They're giving the free deluxe version as an upgrade, which is awesome. Like, is that worth it at that point?
£50? No, absolutely not. I wouldn't pay £50. I wouldn't pay £50 for Half-Life Alyx.
Really?
No, I like £50 is too much money. I mean, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that, should I? Because now it's on the internet. Fuck.
I think you might be showing your age a little bit there. You know, back in the day when I bought a game for £24.
No. Right, I remember on the SNES paying £50 for Star Fox.
Yeah, but that game was worth every penny.
Oh, but it had the chip, didn't it? It had the chip in the cartridge, which was why it cost so much. They also released like the 3D racing game. I can't remember what it was. It was like the stock car racing one. I can't remember what it was called. That's my brain. Yeah. So £50 is too much money. Why £50 for a year-old game? Surely you've made your money off that game. I mean, Hitman is hugely popular, and and you look at the player counts on Hitman, and it's like enormous. They must have sold millions of copies. Why make the VR version £50? Why, in year 2, put the price up to £50, and then purely and simply because they know that VR players are going to be interested in that?
It is kind of shitty, isn't it? It is shitty of them to do that.
It stinks. And it wasn't just Epic. It was Steam. And as much as I like Valve and I like their thinking and the way that they sort of go, yeah, here, we've done this, off you go. Do with it what you want,
That's actually the reason why I think that Half-Life Alyx is worth the money. Genuinely, because of the amount that's been done past there for the community.
I'm never ever going to be able to sort of redraw that comment, am I?
No, never. No. I think that is a clippable comment that will follow you around forever. Well, I think that might be your subtitle from now on, is just max £50 is too expensive in VR.
Weeble agrees with me in the chat, so it's not just me.
No, there will always be people who disagree. The thing is I judge the amount of worth of something based purely on the experience that I'm getting. And if it's £100 experience, I will pay £100. And if it's a £10 experience, I'll pay £10. And if it's free, I will still donate to that person's just giving or what I don't know, like Patreon or something, because it's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So,
And I think Half-Life Alyx, because of the amount of enjoyment I've gotten out of it, because of things like the BioShock mods, because of the
oh,
Portal mods, because
yeah.
of the Contractors mod, which I'm still like it's the John Wick mod for those of you who haven't
Oh,
tried it, and it's 100% worth going and having a go,
go and play
even
it
with all the
now.
bugs.
Go and play it now. It's amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a really good laugh, and I really wish they'd make a chapter 2, which I think might be in the works, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's all right. So, withdrawing the fact that I said that Half-Life Alyx wasn't worth £50, it's the price tag that puts people off. So imagine if Zenith launched at $49.99. How many people would buy it?
Just so that we're clear, chat. Just so that we're clear, I was planning on pre-purchasing it last April at $79.99 just to get access to all of the alpha and beta content, as well as getting a free cool-looking pet type thing. So, yes, that might sound so expensive, but I was planning on paying almost $80 for that game.
Right. So who wasn't interested in Zenith and who got access to the beta?
Oh yeah, you broke me when I
I'm
found out
sorry.
about
I'm
this.
sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, Elliot, if you're watching from Zenith, thank you very much for letting me get into the beta. Absolutely wonderful. Is this a good time to start talking about Zenith then?
Yeah, let's go on Zenith. We're already there. It's
Doomslide. We're talking about Zenith, mate.
So Zenith, if for those of you who didn't tune in last week, Zenith was something that I wanted to talk about, and I really, really wish I'd have lined up the clip for this. I really wish I'd have clipped it out of the thing, and it's not to rub it in Mac's face, but I just want you guys to see how much of a difference this is going to be between how we were talking about it 2 weeks ago, how hyped I was for it, and I am still hyped for it, and Mac's reaction now, because Mac, how much interest did you have about Zenith 2 weeks ago? Absolute fucking bagel. And how much do you have it, not hype necessarily, but how much did you enjoy what you experienced? And are you planning on purchasing it and playing it in the coming days?
Apologies to my friend Shuey, because basically what happened was I was not interested in Zenith at all. Right, I'm not an MMO guy. The closest I ever got to playing an MMO was Destiny, which is kind of not an MMO. That genre doesn't interest me. So when Shuey said, I'm really interested in Zenith, it's an MMO, I was like, I wasn't at all interested. And then what happened is the developer reached out to me on Discord and said, would you like a key? Whether he watched the podcast or not, I'm not sure. And I was like, yes, thank you very much. I played the game on the live stream and I thought it was absolutely magical. Magical. And I can see why the word of mouth hype is so high, because it was just one of those. It felt to me like Zelda: Link from the Past. That feeling, that the music, the little upgrades, the little you you can go here, but you can't get there until you've got that upgrade. But you don't mind because you then go back and you have to. So, sorry, mate, I was ruined.
So you were interested in it from an RPG perspective after you started playing more than the MMO, possibly though.
Right. So you kind of got me there, because what happened was I played for about an hour by myself, and then I ran into this French guy whose English wasn't particularly good. My French is terrible. And he said, "Oh, come here with me, and we'll do this." And that's the point where I realised what Zenith actually is. It's just a social experience where you can go with I mean, these guys who I went off on this quest with were complete strangers. I didn't know any of them. It wasn't like I was playing with you, or I was playing with Surgical, or playing with Face, or playing with Crash, people I know, or HB, or anybody like that. It was just some random people, and I went off with them, and I just had a wonderful time. And it's like VR chat in an MMO. So could that possibly be the best game ever made? So
This is the thing, is I've been waiting for a structured MMO that actually had big hype around it for a while. And lots of people are obviously comparing this to Sword Art Online. I know you mentioned that this wasn't Sword Art Online wasn't something that you had watched or anything in the past, but it looks so similar. The fairy wings and everything like that. The way it looks very similar to Aincrad, which is the world in which you originally start in a Sword Art Online. And I am so hyped for it still. I am so upset that I am too tired to play when we finish this podcast.
I know. And can you guess when I start work?
Probably about the same time as me, about 6 a.m.
Yeah, 6 a.m. tomorrow, and I'm working all the way through Monday, so I won't get a chance to play Zenith until Tuesday, which there's a big announcement coming, but it's not going to happen yet. But,
no, I imagine that will come. If you don't watch Rekin VR's channel very often, then you'll probably hear it on the next podcast. But if you do follow Rekin VR a lot more, then you will most definitely see an announcement some point over the next couple of weeks, I imagine.
Right, Henry's just asked me, is it not still dry January? It's a semi-dry January. It's a semi-dry January. Thanks, mate.
There have been spells of rain coming through the plains on the Mac plane.
They have, yeah. So Zenith, right? So I live streamed it on Monday, and I had a wonderful time. I genuinely had a wonderful time. I came away from that experience kind of gobsmacked. I think that's going to be a game I'm going to put a lot of hours into. So we're going to start a guild.
Yeah, no, I think we should start the Rekin Krew guild, mate.
Start the Rekin Krew guild, right? So what we're going to do is not over the next couple of days, because obviously, unfortunately, myself and Shui are at work. But so keep an eye on our Discords, and we'll start a guild, and then we go questing together. How about that?
I'm so up for that. Like, yeah. Similar to what Doomsly has just said. He said he lived in World of Warcraft for about 4 years back in the good old days. I'm assuming by the good old days you mean vanilla and what was it, Burning Crusade Doom. But I was also similar. I lost an actual year and a half of actual real life hours to that game over the course of 3 or 4 years. Yep, no, and Doomsly says, yep, make a guild, I'm in. And I am so up for that, because I want to play with you guys. I want to play that game. I want to go flying. I want to go questing. I want to upgrade my character. I'm not, because I've been trying to keep up with it, but at the same time I want to be surprised. So I haven't spent a huge amount of time learning or looking at anybody's guides to like 10 things you should know about Zenith before you play it. I don't want to know too much, but from what I understand, like you've definitely got the choice between like a melee and a mage or a spellcaster type character.
Yeah. How
much is there that you can do in amongst those two things?
Yeah. There's basically at the moment there's 2 classes with 3 subclasses. So I chose the mage, and he had like the machine gun sort of things, and the way you cast spells is really clever, and maybe Hitman developers could look at this. You just moved your hand, so you have 4 spells available, and up is for your fireball, left is for your whatever, right? Because the guy who I was playing was like level 26, and he had like 4 spells. I only had one, which was like a little fucking fiery snowball, which is about as much use as tits on a bull. And I think if you noticed during the live stream, I'd go fireball, and it was like I don't know if you've ever watched Battlefield Friends with the noob, and you ever watch any of that? No. Anyway, he's you should go and watch it. It's really good. Battlefield Friends, because I was a massive Battlefield fan. Basically got a guy called the Noob, and he's like, grenade. Why'd you throw a grenade? I don't know. Just throwing grenades. Grenade.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about now. I haven't seen a lot of it, but I've seen some of it.
So basically, during my live stream, these guys were like level 20, 25, and there was like this big boss, and they were like pounding him with lightning and like shooting guns and like charging him with, and I would go fireball. I was just stood on the outside. I felt completely weak and horrible, but yeah, it was. Oh man, I just took such a good feeling away from that game. You know, like it only happens occasionally, but you just sort of you play a game and you think, yeah, they've thought a lot about that. They've really sort of got that polished. They love what they do, and they've made a game that they want to play. So going back to the World of Warcraft thing, I never did World of Warcraft, but I did Destiny.
And I also did Destiny during the first part of Destiny.
Yeah. So basically, my wife used to come home from work and she would say, Destiny Tuesday, and I'd be like, fuck off. Yeah. And me and my friends used to do the raid. We used to do the night, I can't remember what it was called now. It was like the special mission of the day, but if you failed it, you like proper failed it. So we used to do our raids. We used to do the Vault of Glass. We used to do Crota, whatever the other ones were. I can't remember now. We used to do our night raids. We do all the special missions for the day. So I would basically spend 16 hours on a Tuesday playing Destiny.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's kind of what your Warcraft experience was like. Where you'd have, like,
my
raids.
Warcraft experience initially began as something to do, and I didn't like, because I've played MMOs for decades at this point. Like my first MMO was a game called Legend of Mir. For those of you who don't know and probably won't know, Legend of Mir, it was a very old school Korean grind fest where you had 3 classes.
Right.
You had to grind your way through, and if you died, you fucking died. That was it. And in an MMO, that's a huge deal. So after that, moving on to World of Warcraft and sort of grinding my way through that, and then I joined a raiding guild. And bear in mind, my wife played as well. So we were playing together in the same guild, along with our flatmate, who also moved in with us to play World of Warcraft. And we would spend a bare minimum of 8 hours a day. Every single day. And I'm worried that I'm going to end up playing Zenith very similarly to World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
The only difference is that on World of Warcraft, typical to the sort of South Park meme of the guy leaning back with his drink, sort of like just tapping away at the keys, in this, I'm going to be stood up. So there is only a certain amount of energy that I can put into that game. And let's face it, for me, who's going to be playing it on Quest, that's a 6-hour run. Like, yes, fair enough, I could have a second spare battery. I'm not likely to want to do that, and frankly, 6 hours is probably more than enough in VR before I, die of exposure.
Can you see?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody needs one of these.
That's a 23,000 milliamp hour battery, right? I have managed to do about 7 hours in VR stood up using this and the Quest and the Elite strap, right? I'm 55 years old. I don't mind saying how old I am, but I am extremely fit. I have to be because of my job. I have a VO2 max above 42, which doesn't mean anything to anybody who doesn't know what that is. But basically, for somebody who's 55, I've basically got the cardiovascular system of a 20-year-old. And I fucking hurt the next day, mind. I hurt. I woke up and I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ, what have you done to yourself? 6 hours, 7 hours in VR is hard.
Yeah, no, it is. The longest time I've done in VR so far, and it was with a mix of a 10,000 milliamp battery and a 20,000 milliamp battery. I managed to do 9.5 hours in Population 1. And that fucking annihilated me.
Yeah.
But that was when I was playing Population 1 literally every single night.
Yeah.
Like, I was playing with Henry Van Leer, I was playing with Crash, Scoticus, this other guy called Reaper. That me and Henry started off playing when we were complete noobs at the game and having our asses handed to us every game rather than every other game. But now, like, I haven't been that diving deep into those sort of games for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get back into Population 1, but I'm now exhausted after like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't have the stamina.
I mean, like, before Face had his baby, and before...
How dare he
have a child? No, we were playing, like, Team Tryhard were playing Population 1 for 2 or 3 hours a day, and we were like... Yeah, we were pretty good. I mean, Surgical's gone on to be a golden PJ Wanker now and left me in Face.
PJ
Wanker. But, I mean, if you watch Surgical play, you can see the difference between somebody who plays all the time and somebody who plays occasionally. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm a pretty good player. But, like, Surgical is like... He's a fucking good player. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, he is a notch
like,
above, isn't he?
Oh, he's just like, you go into situations and you think, right, okay, I've got this, I've got that, I'm going to dive in. And Surgical's like, bang, 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 yeah, they're all dead, let's fucking move on. I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't even shoot a fucking bullet there. So those like,
see, this is the difference. I shoot the bullets, I just fucking miss the targets.
Hey, you miss every shot you don't take.
This is true.
Now, I was told that by my instructor when I was on the Rangers, when I was in the army.
Doom, this is something actually you mentioned, buy a bar stool so you can sit down and still play VR.
Yeah.
No, that is fine. For anybody that likes that idea or can deal with that, that is fine. I don't play VR to be sat down. I play VR because unless you're sat down in the game, so things like I Expect You to Die or car racing sims or kayak, like in Contract. Is it Contractors? No, It wasn't. Where were you in the kayak? What game was that?
That was Phantom Covert Ops. That was
Phantom Covert Ops, right?
Yeah.
So stuff like that.
Game.
Yes, I want to be immersed by being sat down. But in general, if my character is stood up, I want to be stood up. And that has its good and its bad things. I am going to be way more immersed in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, especially if I'm playing with the gun stocks, I'm going to have massive back pain the next day. Because I'm fixed into that actual rifle position the entire time.
Yeah.
But the fact that it makes me that much more immersed in the game, that's why I play VR. Otherwise, I would just play Battlefield or Call of Duty or, God forbid, Fortnite. It's that's just me though. That's completely me, and I understand why people would sit down. I know quite a few people that do sit down, but even games where it's meant to be chilled out, like Garden of the Sea, I've mentioned it before. I love that game. It is the most chilled out game in the world. I still stand up for that shit.
All right, okay. Yeah.
Like they actually say you can lay down playing that game, which I am never gonna do.
Yeah, if your wife comes into the house and you're laying down with a VR headset on, she's going to take the immediate assumption that you are watching porn.
Yep. I did actually quite like your porn review. That was a nice, interesting. Was it 4 minutes of listening to Mac not say he wanks in VR?
Well, I'm quite lucky that I have a very loving wife that I've known for over 30 years. So that subject is not going to go any further. But I tell you what, I'm actually thinking about doing a follow-up video because the amount of information I got from my subscribers in private messages and emails about where you should go to get your VR porn is quite interesting. And I have found out since there are websites where if you have some of these teledildonics, your favourite word.
Oh yeah.
Or that they actually sync to the porn.
Oh, yes. No, I've heard of this. I have heard of this.
Yeah. So, how how do you research? How do you research something like this and then not admit that you're having a fucking great time doing it? Do you know what I mean? I can't remember the guy who sent me the email, and I do appreciate it. And oh no, it was Steve Lee. Right, it was Steve Lee. Thank you very much, Steve Lee, if you're watching. He sent me an email, or he sent me a message on Discord. Sorry, and the information was incredible. And I was like, I hadn't even. As a man who likes pornography, so
as a man, then,
yeah, basically, so anybody watching who's a woman, if your man says he doesn't like porn, he's lying. Sorry, I think I've just.
I wouldn't quite go that. I would say that he is 99.9% lying. I think there is always that chance. Like my background is as a scientist, as a biological scientist. You don't work in absolutes. You work in 99%.
Oh right, yes, okay, right.
So from the 1% perspective, there will be that one guy who doesn't like porn, and that's fine.
That's fine.
But the rest of us are lying through our fucking teeth.
Exactly. So, like, I like the fact that you do not deal in absolutes, because it's one of those things that I absolutely love, is the fact that I'm an atheist, and I'm 100% sure that I'm right. But then I don't deal in absolutes, so I'm 99.9% sure that I'm right. But there's the 0.01% of me that thinks, oh God, if I fuck this up, when I finally pop my clogs.
Oh God! Honestly, I listen to so many atheist podcasts that we could go into a massive deep hole with this. But this is a VR podcast.
It's a VR podcast.
This is a VR podcast, a beer and wine podcast, but also, as it turns out, for the last 2 weeks, a porn podcast.
It is a porn podcast, right? Okay. So we should have a quick look at the chat. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, Doomslice saying his knees start to hurt. HB says,
yeah, which is fine.
HB says if somebody sees me lying down, they probably think I'm dead. HB, oh no! Quick, get the artificial defibrillator. Ba-doomf. Let's save HP.
I wonder whether or not HB, do you have some self-confidence issues? If all it takes is you being laying down to think people think you're dead, mate. I apologise. I haven't played with you enough to actually start throwing out personal insults.
HB is right. So HB's Russian.
Yes.
So English isn't his second language, and his English is fucking tastic. So if there's anybody in Russia who needs to learn how to speak English, go and see HB, because his English, and also he knows the word wanker, because obviously being English, we taught him the word wanker.
Yeah, either that or he's been spending too much time with Crash. That's Crash's favourite word of all time.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Well, we got a little flag. We got a little flag for Crash's bike, and he'll know exactly what we're talking about there. That's
right. So on to the next subject then. On to the next point of business, as it were. We've talked about Hitman. We've talked about Zenith.
Are we doing a podcast? Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're not just cracking.
Yeah. No, sometimes I forget because I'm looking at you. I don't. Unlike you, who is looking at probably an OBS screen.
No, I'm
looking at a Discord screen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you are. Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to very briefly touch over, because I haven't tried it, and all we've got to go on realistically is the trailer, is Wanderer.
Yeah, fascinating. So Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis is extremely hyped for this game, isn't he? Have you seen his?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So.
And I am as well. Like, I don't know what your thoughts on this are, just from the trailers we've had.
Oh, it's a PC VR exclusive, isn't it? Or have I got that wrong?
No. I think it's PC VR and PSVR.
Oh, right, so it's not Quest.
Hang on, I'm going to Google this while you talk for a second.
Okay, right, okay. I'm the thing that I'm concerned about is that games like this don't do well because they're not on Quest. So if you're going to make a game and you're going to spend a lot of time doing this, would you make, like, for example, Green Hell, one of the games I'm looking forward to quite a lot?
No, right. Hang on. We need to step back on that. Then I've just seen available. It says available now. PlayStation VR, Steam VR, and Oculus. I'm going to assume what it means by Oculus is Rift.
Rift, yeah. Hold on.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you're not wrong. It is basically a PC VR exclusive because I just don't see this being hugely amazing on PSVR, if I'm honest.
Or Quest, yeah. So, like, give us an outline of what you think the game, from what you've seen, what do you think the game is?
Right. So from what I've seen, and I've watched the trailer repeatedly, because honestly, since this was, when did I first see this? I think I saw this in mid-August, possibly.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. So it's been 6 months ish.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a puzzle game with decent graphics where you're actually going to be traveling through time in order to solve the puzzle. Like, and from what I understand, you're going to be changing the past to change the future, which will change the puzzle. And I love that.
Yeah, I do as well.
Just as a brief aside, there was a game that I was sent by a group of computer science college students, I think, that basically did exactly this.
Yeah.
And it was a phenomenal little Unity game that they'd created using some of the base assets, where you'd go back in time, you would change the type of formula that you were using, go forward in time because it took 100 years for it to mature, and then you would get your little vial of the solution and stuff like that. And it was a great idea. And so seeing Wanderer, seeing the trailer for that, basically seeing this exact same idea where you can go forwards and backwards in time in order to solve puzzles.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I love the look of it, the actual feel of it, the fact. The one thing that I'm not certain is going to strike well with me is that in games, I genuinely like there to be an ongoing theme, right?
Nice.
So
Okay.
if you're in, I don't know, like there'll be the future, fair enough, and there'll be the past, and there will obviously be a massive difference in the look of those two places.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I like there to be an ongoing theme. So the future can look however it wants, the past can look however it wants, as long as that is the same going forward. But from what I've seen, there will be several different places similar to, what was that show? Quantum Leap.
Oh, my God.
And I think I might have just stolen Mac's comparison.
Oh, boy. Wow. Scott Bakula.
Yep.
I love that.
Bitty, bitty, bitty.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that program. So, right, so I'm not sure if anybody's aware of this. There's a series of programs on Netflix, I think, called Love and Robots.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's called Love, Death and Robots. Sorry. Anyway, so what I like about Love, Death and Robots is there's a one particular episode where they deal with the death of Hitler. And they say, well, how would the world be different if Hitler had died at different points in his life?
Right. Okay.
And it's you have to watch it to understand it. There's a point where he gets enveloped by Jello and is killed by getting shagged to death by prostitutes. It's fun. Honestly, it's Love, Death and Robots, the Hitler version. It's absolutely fantastic. But what you like, the way you describe Wanderer there is that, like, what you do in the past changes what happens in the future. So I've got a it's the going back in time to kill Hitler thing. You have to bear with me. So Hitler's the most evil person. Actually, Hitler isn't the most evil person. Stalin was.
I was going to say, not by a long shot.
Stalin was more evil than Hitler. Anyway, Hitler was the most evil person that people kind of know. So if you go back in time and kill Hitler, right? Shoot Hitler, dead.
Yep.
1925. Dead. 1925, beer hole putsch, shoot him, right, okay, he's dead. So in your time, there's no reason to go back and kill Hitler because he doesn't.
So you're talking about the time paradox.
Yeah, he died in 1925. So there's like a tick tock tick, kill Hitler tock. You don't need to kill Hitler because he doesn't exist. Tock. So that I love that paradox. There's no go back and kill Hitler because he's the most evil person in the world. Well, you killed him, so there's no reason to go back and kill Hitler. So he now exists again.
Yeah. So what you're saying then, if I'm gathering this correctly, if we're looking at it from the perspective of is time linear, is time cyclical, or I can't remember the exact word, or is there a multiverse?
Yeah.
And are we talking about branching realities? So we're looking at sort of the new Marvel way of looking at time travel. So from that perspective, then we're saying that Wanderer, whoever the protagonist is in Wanderer, is the most selfish bastard ever to live, because he's going to go back in time, change the past, and then go forward in time back to the new parallel reality that he's just created for himself.
Yes.
And he's going to make it all perfect and leave everyone else. Fuck everyone else. It doesn't matter what happens to them.
Yeah. Multiverse doesn't exist. Time is linear. But if there was the possibility to go back in time, it doesn't create parallel universes. You just change your own time. That's that's how I see it. I mean, as much as I love the multiverse, I'm a massive fan of Marvel, and if you haven't got a subscription to Disney, get a subscription to Disney and watch the What If cartoons. They are absolutely incredible.
Some of them were good. Some of them were okay, and at least one of them was meh.
Yes, but the last few were fucking pretty good.
I mean, I love some Marvel zombies. Absolutely love some Marvel zombies.
My favorite episode was where T'Challa was Star-Lord. And
that was an interesting one.
That was great because T'Challa changed anyway. Right, so what's our channels about?
Oh yeah, that virtual reality thing.
stuff. Virtual reality stuff. Right. Oh, is Dean Stockwell dead? Is Dean Stockwell dead?
We just heard.
Yeah. Adrian Pierce just said that Dean Stockwell's dead. I never knew that. That he was like Scott Bakula's guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I didn't know he was dead.
Oh, Adrian.
Oh shit.
You just spoiled my day.
God damn it.
God damn it. Right.
Anyway, so just before we move on then, are you excited for Wanderer or not?
Yes. Will it sell?
Not on... It will sell a reasonable amount of PC copies, and I mean reasonable in comparison to what VR sells in the PC world at the moment, not reasonable in comparison to other consoles. It will sell probably more than that in PSVR because it's a new game for PSVR and they're pushing their marketing on that pretty hard.
Yeah.
Will it sell on Rift? Basically, fuck all.
No. So this brings me to another problem, which it is probably a subject that is probably too big just to talk about today, and that's if you are developing a video game right now and you want it to be in VR, why would you not make it for Quest 2 first?
Yeah, develop it alongside a PC VR version, that's fine, but don't ever think at this point in time that you should be developing anything for any single headset apart from the Quest. Like, what from a pure money perspective, from a pure amount of people that will play it perspective, you shouldn't be developing for anything apart from Quest. Right, there is only one reason to make things for PC, and that is altruism, in my opinion. You want it to look pretty as fuck, and you do not care if it sells.
Yeah, okay, so we're going back to the Valve and Half-Life Alyx thing here. Right, so here's the question, and this is going to spin your head around. As a YouTube content creator, have you noticed how your Quest stuff does compared to your PC VR stuff?
As far as being able to record and create decent videos?
No, I'm talking about watch time. If you make a
My
video,
Quest stuff does 1,000 times better than any of my PC stuff.
right? So why?
I'll
So
give you some. I'll give you some numbers. Okay, very very quick numbers. On my YouTube channel at the moment, I am a very very small YouTube content creator for VR, and I try and do VR as a whole. But generally speaking, the people that are watching and subscribing, they are all Quest subscribers.
yeah,
If you look at any of my stuff for PC specifically, it does maybe 500 views. If I do something that's like Quest games coming out in 2022, 13,000 views in 1 month.
yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
that's the difference we're talking here.
Okay, so I'm gonna use this as an example. I don't know whether you can actually see the. No, you can't see this, right?
It's
So,
a bit shiny.
yeah, right. So here's a video about the Vario Aero and the PSVR 2. 919 views, right? The video underneath it, which is labelled Oculus Quest 2, the 5 best co-op games, 11,000 views. So
Yeah,
that Aero,
that's the level of Quest players, isn't it?
yeah, the Aero, like to me, the Aero and the PSVR video was more interesting to make because I did more research. It took me longer. The 5 best games for the Quest 2, it took me probably a day, I think, because I basically just thought, right, what are my 5 favourite co-op games? Right, I'll record some footage and be playing them, and then I'll do my script, and then I'll do this. But the Vario Aero and the PSVR 2 took me 3 or 4 days to make that video. And then okay, so I'm not criticizing this person directly because I actually love him as a content creator. So BMF VR does Quest 2 stuff, and he does some phenomenal numbers. I think he's got like 200,000 subscribers, and his numbers are like, whoa, they're crazy. And he's a nice guy, and his stuff is good, but he does the crazy, awesome, insane Quest 2. Can you see where I'm going?
Yep, no, he uses the clickbait, and I have noticed a lot more content creators moving towards the clickbaity titles and more away from the, let's call them, realistic titles. And I've been doing the same. If you look at my channel, I have been following that exact same trend to an extent. I hate using the word insane, so I don't use it. I do tend to use capitalization of the word, like new and Quest 2. Like those are the first 3 words that you should be putting in anything to do with Quest 2 that is relatively new news.
Yeah.
Like that is an absolute solid have to in the Quest world, unless you're going to go with the word insane or the word epic, which once again I tend not to.
Amazing new upgrade.
Someone will come back and clip this and they'll shove it in my face in 6 months' time and say, you used the word insane 4 times this month. And I'll be like, yep, and that's where the trends led me, and that's where I had to go.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, a thumbnail and your title are the door to your video.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a content creator, and as somebody who's trying to, I mean, I love BMF. I respect him, but he has a niche, and he has
a great niche.
He's nailed his niche. So there's another content creator called Rek't for President. I don't know if you know.
I know Rek't for President. Yeah.
Okay, so about a year ago, Rek't for President took his channel in a very different direction. He stopped making videos and he just did podcasts, and he was donating all of his money to mental health charities, which, when he did that, I was like, wow, because I mean, I think he's a veteran, and he's a personal trainer. I follow him on Facebook. I've got great respect for Eric, but the last month or so, he's actually come back onto YouTube as a content creator, and he's kind of focusing on Quest 2.
Yeah, and once again, he was an early adopter to realize where the trends were leading and what he should be pushing towards. And everybody realized, I think most people realized by about September last year that was the writing on the door.
Yeah.
As far as content creation goes, and actually, I'm going to answer a question in the chat along with this particular answer. Okay. Hellgrown has asked, talking about content creation, do you all think combining VR game Let's Plays with PC game Let's Plays would be okay, or would that ruin the channel? If it was my channel, it would ruin the channel, and here's why. I struggle in being able to mix other VR content with my Quest 2 content and still keep viewership.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. It's the same niche. It's the VR niche, but it is the niche within the niche, within the niche, within the niche, within the niche, within the niche. And eventually you've got your hands pressed up against each other and you still are struggling to find that damn niche. Now, the guys that can just do, right, and I envy them. And you can throw out names like BMF once again, although BMF VR now he is, rather than just BMF. He is a great guy. I love watching his videos. Since I bought the Quest, I have watched every single one of his videos that he has made on his channel.
Yeah.
Because he is likable, he is presentable, he makes good content. It's very easy to watch. None of it requires that you spend too much effort listening. And he has his niche. Even though it's a wide niche, he has dominance, almost dominance over that niche.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got people like Mike from VRO, Virtual Reality Oasis. If you haven't watched his channel.
My hero.
Yeah, no, he is. He not only is he a great content creator, he's a British content creator. Which
and
really...
The very first day of after the full beta, I dropped into a lobby and he was there and he played a game with me and he was lovely and it made me emotional because like
you're meeting heroes.
Right, yeah, you do, right? So right, Mike is the sole reason I've got a YouTube channel, because he was a police officer. I don't know if anybody knows this. And about 5 years ago, when I subscribed to him, he only had 500 subscribers, and he was in that blonde white corridor, and he was making content. And I thought, yeah, I like you, and I've kept up with him. And eventually, about 2 or 3 years ago, he got to a point where he could actually stop doing what he was doing, i.e., being a police officer, and like, how fucking important is that? And he started making like VR content like full time. So like Mike, like I love BMF, I love Steve Knows, I love Gamertag, I love Beardo Benjo, I love Nathy, I love Thrillseeker, obviously I love Power On. But like Mike to me he's the reason I'm actually here doing this right now.
He's the man. He is the man.
Yeah, so
like everything he touches is Midas' hand, isn't it? It turns to gold in the YouTube space.
But the reason he is so good is like BMF, and it's like Steve, and it's like Beardo and Gamertag. You're interested in what they've got to say. They're nice. Like BMF is perhaps a bit too anodyne for me, because he doesn't want to upset anybody. So everything is epic and awesome and fantastic. But I love his dang shoot kind of persona.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
And that's his brand, and he sticks to his brand, and you can't complain at him for that.
No.
But I understand, like, from an opinion perspective, I understand completely what you're saying. But that's what I was saying about how easy it is to watch his stuff, because like there's no thinking about it. You don't have to. You can just enjoy it.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
that's really lovely. And once again, I agree with everything you've said, basically, about all the people that you've just described there. People like GT, people like Beardo, people like Mike, people like Nathy, people like... I'm going to include Zim, even though he's sort of more on the streaming than like YouTube video side of things.
Okay.
They're all super great guys. Do you know Zimtok?
I don't know, actually. No, I don't.
He's pure... I didn't expect you necessarily to know him, because he's almost exclusively... Skyrim based, but he's on the F Reality podcast.
Okay, right. Okay.
He's a lovely guy. I speak to him in his Discord. If you ever watch this, you're awesome. You know, good luck in Canada. when it comes to most of those people, that actually segues into something I wanted to discuss, that I already had planned to discuss in this particular podcast, and that was the game.
Hold fire.
Hold fire. We're stopped. We're stopped. We're holding fire. He's run out of booze, ladies and gentlemen.
Out of booze. Hold on. Have we got more booze?
Have we got more booze? Do you remember tribal in? Oh God, excuse me. This ghost dance beer, guys. It makes you belch pretty badly. So hang on, let's go through a couple of questions then. So
right, okay.
very, very quickly. We won't hold it against him that he's British. Well, yeah, we will. Do you remember Tribal Instincts? I think it was the first. No, I don't actually.
Well,
I don't know what that is. Tribal Instincts. Doesn't ring a bell.
No, I don't.
Doesn't ring a bell. No. Is there anything else that's pressing before we move on?
There is. HB Program says that his dad makes vodka.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. He's
of course
Russian.
He does.
He's fucking Russian. Why?
I assume that you don't make anything else there. I assumed it was weaponry and vodka. That's the two exports of that place.
My dad is not Russian. HB.
An indoctrinated Russian.
HB drops the bomb again. Well done, mate.
What do you think about Twitch and VR streamers? What do I think about Twitch and VR streamers? I found it incredibly difficult to break into the Twitch side of things. I am actually a Twitch affiliate, even though I haven't streamed on there in nearly 4 or 5 months. And actually, if I'm going to stream now, I'm going to stream on YouTube. And part of the reason for that is that I want to keep my package, as it were, in a sort of smaller, sort of tighter hold.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. When I first met Surgical, he was streaming on Twitch, and he was getting maybe 5 or 6 people watching him. I mean, this is like last year. This is obviously, he's a lot bigger now. Oh, actually, he doesn't stream on Twitch anymore. But anyway, regardless. So Surge was getting like 5 or 6 people watching his stream. And at the time, I had about 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers. And he said, why don't you try streaming on Twitch? And I was like, no, I wasn't interested. Anyway, Surgical convinced me to do a stream. And I obviously decided to do it on YouTube instead. I think my first stream like hit 500 views. And he was like, fuck. Because if you are on YouTube and you're streaming on YouTube, then you have your audience. I mean, obviously, we've got like Doomsly, we've got HB, we've got Crash, we've got Weebs, we've got AppG, we've got all these people who like watching this podcast now. They're only there because they're like subscribers to either my channel or your channel, or they're enjoying the podcast. I don't know why.
I was going to say, it must be one of those.
Just two drunk guys fucking talking shite. But yeah, so that question, no, Twitch, I wouldn't do Twitch. I'm just going to stick with YouTube because it's what I know. And I think it's easier for your audience to find you if you just stay on one platform. If you
already have an established YouTube channel, I completely agree with you. Yeah. For the people that are entirely streaming, I think you should be on Twitch. If you're just streaming, I think you should be on Twitch. If you already have a YouTube channel, you should be doing it on YouTube. And the reason I think that if you're just streaming, you should be on Twitch is that it is a dedicated streaming service.
Yeah.
And you should stick to the dedicated streaming service. If you're trying to combine services, then you should be sticking to your combined service. So, for instance, I am now streaming. If I do stream, I'll stream only on YouTube. But I am trying to stream on TikTok as well because I have a pretty big following on TikTok.
Yeah, you do. 17,000 or something, isn't it?
18.8 thousand as of tonight.
Sorry.
Yep. No.
You said 17,000 in 2 weeks. Whoa, where have you gone? You said 17,000 2 weeks ago, so you've put on 1,800. Oh,
yeah,
God.
And the thing is I really want to stream to TikTok because there are very, 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 very few VR streamers streaming to TikTok. In fact, I can only think of 2 currently. One has something I want, and the other is just literally phone is recording his laptop while he's playing against a green screen background, and it looks bad, but he does good content.
Right.
The other guys, which is VR Brothers, if you know VR Brothers, they are a big streaming. They do a lot of streaming through TikTok, through Facebook, and through Twitch.
Right.
They sort of cover the whole gamut, and they are probably one of the biggest VR streaming groups out there.
Okay.
TikTok, for some reason, they won't give it to me, but they give it to certain people. TikTok have a streamer key ability to stick it into the program so that you can stream from OBS. They won't give it to me. They outright refuse to give it to me.
TikTok, if you're watching, give him the key.
Yeah, because it's a massive untapped market, but I don't want to stream a bad-looking stream. I want it to look good. I want there to be some part of the professionalism, which means changing the aspect ratio from 1920 by 1080 to 1080 by 1920, so that you don't have to turn your phone. You're looking at it like you would look at any other TikTok video. Okay. But that's just me.
I'm a bit funny with TikTok because basically my TikTok feed is just young girls dancing in a very strange way, so it's probably because I'm old.
TikTok's algorithm is actually insane when it comes to content creation. It genuinely is. It is possibly one of the most intricate, pinned down, perfect algorithms for pointing out and redirecting you to content that I have ever seen, and it is scary good. It is scary good at suggesting new things without you ever even thinking that you've been suggested new things. It counts the amount of seconds that you look at things. It works out how many times you're likely to skip past it. It works out the sort of things that you like, that you dislike, how many times you're likely to comment on things. And it feeds you this in a 20-second bite all the time. It's actually insane. And I like, that's the reason why I jumped on there. It's the reason why I content create on there.
So basically, TikTok is saying to me that you look like looking at 18-year-old girls doing stupid dances.
Yeah, because why not? Right, here's an example, okay? Mac, you were talking earlier about
I hope my wife isn't watching.
My wife probably is.
As long as she doesn't know my wife, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So on TikTok, right, I posted a video at 4:30 today.
Okay.
And 15 minutes later, I had 3,500 views.
Woo! What?
Yeah, that's 40. That's like 15 between 15 and 45 minutes. I already had over 300 likes on that video.
Yeah. So what's the drop off like? Because on YouTube you get videos that do well and then sustain, but
yep.
So is it is it like a clip?
No, it depends, because some of my videos, it doesn't take much to keep a TikTok video stabilized.
Okay.
All it actually takes is a couple of interactions. It's not about the views, it's about the interactions. But some of my videos, we're reaching we're almost at 1 million hits on those videos.
Wow.
So, my video about the tact gloves that I did on there, which was like 38 seconds, I think it was. Right. That's currently at almost 100,000 views.
For porn.
Yeah, for porn. That's the reason why you do TikTok content. But we're moving away again. Even though I love talking about content creation. The most of the people that are watching are not content creators.
Weeble's saying that China's spying on you.
Yeah, no, of course it's China spying on me. They're going to spy on me all the time with every ounce of their might.
Yes, because we're important. Two guys sitting on chairs drinking. Yeah, that's why the Chinese are really worried.
Yeah, because we're comfortable with beer.
We can invade them now because they're drunk. Right, let's go. Right, so
back to what I was saying a little earlier, right?
Yeah, we did segue a little bit.
The guys that we were talking about, so Gamertag, BMF, Beardo Benjo, Mike from VRO, less Mike from VRO in this particular example, okay? When I checked out Final Space VR, and I loved the show. I don't know if you watched the show.
I didn't. I'm afraid not.
No, so it's an American animation sci-fi. The first season is funny, but also has an absolutely phenomenally deep and rich storyline that genuinely made me sort of how do I put it? It tugged on the old heartstrings through it, and it was
Okay.
great. I really enjoyed it. So when I found out that there was going to be a Final Space VR game, I was like, yes, love it. Sign me up. Give me all of your Final Space goodness. I want to see Mooncake. I want to be Gary. I want to meet Avocado. I want to meet Quinn. I want to meet Trebor.
All right. So this is by the people who did Adult Swim, right?
Yes.
Okay. So is it in the same? Is it in the same vein as Star Trek Deck Crew? That sort of
It's the same animation style, but not the same type of comedy necessarily.
Right. Okay. Okay. Right. I'm on board. Yeah, I'm on board. I like it. Yeah.
Yep. So it was funny and it was well worth watching. But the thing is the game came out and all I saw, and if you saw my review video, and it was very negative, and a lot of people liked it, which is fine, and I get that. But here's the thing:
as a fan.
No, even outside of being a fan, right? This is the thing. I saw that that there was a teaser trailer, and I was like, okay, I'll catch it again in a few months. I then saw that it was being released in 2 days.
Right.
And there was no other marketing except for keys being given out to a few select reviewers that I respect and love watching their content. And then I watched their content and I was like, this game seems fun. Like I'm more hyped for this now.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
But
I know where you're going.
But not many people play these type of games just as multiplayer. So I started by playing it completely as single player. And it was boring. It was amazing seeing some of the characters come to life in a VR game, but it was samey and it was a wave shooter and there were only 3 chapters. And even though I spent a lot of time trying to explore in this very, very linear train track game, I spent probably more time than I needed to, and I completed the entire story in 2.5 hours. Yeah. And it wasn't a cheap game. Like, it wasn't an expensive game. It was 11 quid, I think. But and that's fine. Like, if you've got 3 friends to play with and play through this game, and each one of you is going to spend that £11 in order to play it, then you'll probably have a really good time. And this is the thing, because there was no marketing, and all you had is people like Gamertag and Beardo that were playing together with Olan. I can't remember his name, the creator.
Yeah.
They made it seem really so much fun, and they probably had an absolute blast. Because I played it single player to begin with, I was bored, so bored of this, and the replayability is next to 0. I know this sounds more like a rant than a discussion,
It does.
but
no, I'm fully on board with what you're saying. I don't know how much people are influenced. I mean, like, you're looking at people like Mike from VRO. They've got like over 500,000 subscribers. Beardo Benjo and Gamertag are kind of new upcoming YouTube content creators. They like, I don't know what they're on, 20, 30, 40,000. I think Beardo's hit 50,000 or something.
Oh yeah, no, they're doing phenomenally.
Yeah, they're doing really well. At what point do
The thing is,
what
no,
point?
you go.
Okay. At what point do you start getting influenced by the Quest 2 insane epic bullshit that you have to put up with to get views on your channel? I'm asking from... right. So I would prefer to disrupt than... I'd prefer to be honest than be...
Liked?
Yeah. That's...
So the thing is...
No, you actually hit it fucking... You actually hit the fucking nail on the head. I was looking for the word. I was going to use something else, but liked is absolutely right. I would rather say no, this is not good, than say, oh, it's absolutely amazing if you're playing with 4 other friends. Say, right, no. If you're playing with 4 friends, it's great. If you're playing by yourself, like, go back to Zero Caliber Reloaded. Zero Caliber Reloaded is a shit single-player game, but with 4 friends, it's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it is. And this is what I think a lot of developers need to take note of, is that the multiplayer is what makes VR great in a lot of instances.
Yeah.
If you haven't realised that from Pancake Games by now, you need to finally realise it from the VR space.
Yeah.
Because there isn't many like single player games like Lone Echo and Lone Echo 2 and Half-Life Alyx that you can actually really get on board with.
Yeah.
Especially when the 3 games that I've just mentioned are all PC VR games.
Sniper Elite, Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't even go far as Sniper Elite, mate. I didn't enjoy it.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead was phenomenal.
Oh, right. Okay, so, chainsaws! You must
I'm not certain. Yeah, no, I've seen it and I'm excited for it, but I don't think I actually care about chainsaws.
No, chainsaws. Oh, dude. Gears of War, Marcus Phoenix with the chainsaw is one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. I
knew you were going to bring up Marcus Phoenix. I knew it.
I don't get older. I just level up, right? Marcus Phoenix is one of, like, anyway. The meat, the way they made the enemies meaty, so that when you were like in the chainsaw and they were like, and it was like meat flying everywhere. Even when you get killed as Marcus Phoenix, your meat flies. Now, Xbox.
If they can do that.
Oh, the Xbox, fucking Phil Spencer does not believe that VR is the future. So what we need to do is need to go round to his house, wherever he lives in LA, me and you, and we need to pound his head off the pavement until he understands that VR is the future of gaming.
I don't believe for a second that that's what he believes. Do you know what I think it is? Yeah. Genuinely? Do you know what I think it is? I think he's letting everybody else do the fucking work.
Yeah.
Keeping the IPs, gaining the IPs, which is what they've done recently with Activision.
69 billion.
Yeah, right.
69 billion.
What I think what they're doing is they're spending their money rather than developing. They're spending their money on the IPs now, so that they can basically jump in when the technology is cheaper and easier, and already mapped out in 5 years' time, and then jumping on the VR bandwagon. That's what I think they're going to do.
Fuck me. Right. So if there's ever a reason to watch the Virtually Rek't podcast, it's because I've been thinking about that exact thing you just said, and it basically what it is they've seen it and they've bought it, and they know it's going to happen, and they've took the legs away from Facebook, they've took the legs away from PlayStation, because what they've done is they've invested in the games that are coming in the next 5 to 10 years, and the headsets.
Yeah, it's the IPs. Like, let's face it, right? What is one of the biggest things, one of the biggest IPs that sold a lot of Quest headsets at Christmas? There are 2. I'll give you 2.
Okay.
Go on. No, I want you to guess.
Me?
What the two IPs? Two IPs that sold the Quest at Christmas. One was
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, obviously, right? It was an IP that is well known, well established, and they took it, they made it really, really well. It didn't look amazing, but it felt great.
It's a great game. It was a great game.
Yeah, it was a great game, right? And that sold a lot of Quest headsets. The other one was the sneak preview that they gave, all of 1 second of it with a single image, which was
Assassin's Creed?
GTA San Andreas.
Oh, fuck, yes! Oh, fuck! I completely forgot about that.
Right, so
oh my God!
Yeah, no, they've got GTA San Andreas coming out for it, right? The IP is what is going to sell these consoles going forwards. And when we have Resident Evil and GTA San Andreas as part of the selling points, yeah, Ubisoft are going to get involved at some point. Which, by the way, I wanted to mention their new game as well, for VR, if you hadn't heard about that one. Um, oh, yeah. Oh, he
No,
looks surprised.
I
This is
am.
news.
What? No.
Yeah, no, right, okay. No, we'll jump on that in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, like that's what's going to sell things, and I think Xbox knows this, Microsoft knows this. They're not idiots. They've shown over the past like 4, 5 decades they're not morons. They know what they're doing. Like Xbox has been able to keep up with PlayStation at every point, despite the fact that even though I owned more Xboxes than PlayStations, I think PlayStation is probably like the better console on the whole, if I'm really honest.
For games.
Yeah, for games specifically. But now that they're losing IPs, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely.
There needs because existing IPs, and I'm looking at you, Nintendo. Existing IPs sell consoles.
Right. So Nintendo are the ones that it's fucking weird. Right. Nintendo doesn't do anything normal, do they? They just do Nintendo stuff, but they just keep churning out this stuff that you just want, and it's so good. If Nintendo did VR,
they already did VR. They tried it. They didn't like it.
No, we're not talking about the Virtual Boy. If Nintendo...
No, I'm not talking about the Virtual Boy. I'm talking about more recent than that.
Really?
Nintendo Labo.
Oh,
They
right,
did
yeah.
They did a VR version of it, and it wasn't good, and they delved into it, but they've already realised that the Switch is amazing, and they're going to sell 1,000 billion quadrillion units of it, because people want, like, on the go, not have to plug into a TV stuff still, and they want to have it still at 1080p. And I own 3 Nintendo Switches in my house right now.
Really?
Yeah, no, I own one for me, one for my kids, and one for my wife that only ever and will ever get used for Animal Crossing. I literally, because she didn't want the same island as the kids, I had to go and buy her a Nintendo Switch Lite with Animal Crossing so that she could have a completely separate one.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they've already delved into it. Like they know that their IPs sell stuff, and they're never going to sell their IPs. And that's a sensible thing to do. And now that Xbox have taken all the other IPs, it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, before they jump on the VR wagon. But no, you go, and then I will jump into another topic.
Okay, segue. Right, so PSVR 2, it's an incredible piece of kit. It's going to be amazing, but because of what happened with Hitman, I'm worried.
That's what I said to you in our private chat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Porting AAA games to VR is not a case of making it into a VR game and then pressing A and B. It's about doing the full Half-Life Alyx. It's about making the game where you fucking pick something up off the ground. I'll have a fuse. I'm going to put the fuse into the fuse box. I just need to... So, the whole idea of God of War and Last of Us, which I think is a kind of overrated game, to be honest. That's just my own opinion. I love the idea. And I will buy a PlayStation 5, and I'll probably buy PlayStation VR 2. But I'm concerned because of what IO Interactive did with the Hitman port. Okay.
I think PlayStation they're going to do one of two things, honestly. I think they are either going to have a quality control section, or they're not going to have a quality control section.
Okay.
I think that they're going to have that as a gate, essentially, between the developers and getting to I'm about to call it the Oculus store, getting to the PlayStation store. Because if they don't, the PlayStation VR 2 is going to flop hard. it is going to end up looking like a broken pizza dropped from the Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
It's
What would be the one feature? I have an idea in mind. What would be the one feature in the PSVR 2 that you would want? I have the
that hasn't already been shown, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Teledildonics. No. What's the one feature I would like to see in the PlayStation VR 2?
That hasn't been announced. The one thing
that hasn't been announced. I already know the answer to this.
Yeah. Okay.
I already know my answer to this. Is their own version of the B haptic suit.
No. Make it.
It's the perfect accessory for it, but you go.
Make it PCVR. Make it PCVR compatible, out of the box. Why not?
Why would anyone buy a PS5 at that point? Except, like, yes, you've got the IPs, but I'm not sure that's going to sustain it enough.
Okay, right. So my thinking is purely down to one thing that Xbox Game Pass did, where Xbox Game Pass has the Hitman 3 or the Hitman trilogy, and they made it available in PCVR as part of the Year 2 content. Why'd they do that?
That's a very good point. I hadn't even thought about that.
You see, the old man can throw in a few fucking.
That's a big jab. I hadn't actually thought, because that's a very small, insignificant feeling thing, isn't it? That actually has massive.
It is, right? So, I'm an Xbox fanatic, right? I love Halo. I love Gears of War. I'm a massive fan of Forza and Horizons or whatever they've done. This here is the most amazing thing that's happened to me in the last couple of months. Right, my wife bought me this for Christmas, and she got me an Xbox Game Pass. Right, and that's because she's just a fucking wonderful person. Now, I'm a fucking dick, and I don't know why she sticks with me. Xbox Game Pass did not have to put PC VR on Hitman 3. They could have just said, right, there you go, flat screen, Hitman trilogy available. Why did they put the PC VR version in that? Right?
I can think of one reason why they did.
Okay.
Because the reason I can think why they had to do it rather than they chose to do it was that IO were not willing to do a separate version, if you like, of Hitman for the Game Pass. Because that would have required a completely separate one.
It didn't have to do that. Right, so the Epic Games Store had the Hitman 3, Hitman trilogy game, flat screen, whatever. I've streamed it to my phone. I've played it on this. It works fantastically. Why specifically did Xbox Game Pass allow you to play VR? That's what I'm interested in.
It actually gives you the option of playing it via the Steam configs, right?
No,
am I right in thinking that?
No, what it does is if you have your, like, so for example, I've had my index plugged in. If you start the game, it will start up normally, and it will give you the option to play game options, blah blah blah. But when you press play, it will say, "Do you want to start this game in VR?" Because it's spots that you have a VR headset plugged into your PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even more reason to think that they're eventually going to jump into VR as well.
Phil Spencer is not a fucking idiot. Phil Spencer is a fucking and I years and years of playing video games. I like Phil Spencer. He's a gamer, right? And all the people around him are gamers. And this is what I like about Xbox, is that the people involved in Xbox are gamers, and they must see that you can put a £300 console on your face and play video games. And they can't do that at the moment. But you can put Xbox Game Pass onto a Quest 2 and play your Xbox games. They've just spent £69 billion do I have to do this?
$1 billion.
Pounds! Exactly. They've just spent $69 billion, and are you telling me they're not interested in VR? Fuck off. They are fucking interested in VR. They know.
I think when David Attenborough is invested in VR, everyone should take note of that.
What are we going to do when David Attenborough dies?
Well, everyone talks about it being Brian Cox, but frankly, it's not the same. Never will be the same.
No.
I think a little bit of me dies that day.
He's done nature programs since I was like a tiny little boy, and
interestingly, what you said about porn and driving the driving the technological space, right?
Yeah.
David Attenborough did exactly the same thing with his nature programs. He used them in order to push the technological space. He was the first person to record in like proper color.
Yeah.
He was the first person to record in HD. He was the first person to record in 4K. He was the first person to start recording 360-degree videos for a large audience. He's basically front-run everything.
Yeah, people forget that he was in charge of BBC Two for a long time, and he basically, like you said, forced them to do HD, forced them to do color, forced them to do. Yeah, he's a game-changing person. I struggle to see how my life will be the same once he's gone.
Have you watched his VR stuff?
Yeah, it's a bit janky, but it's but it's
David Attenborough, so who gives a fuck?
I remember, right, so this is how old I am. I remember he did a thing in, I think it was 1969, where they basically dropped him off on an island, and he didn't know what was going on, and these headhunters came up to him, raw, and he went, "Oh, hello, my name's David," and they were like, "Oh, hello." And they shook his hand. And this was like 1969, and he was like about 30 years old. And I remember thinking, how English can you be? And how great is it to be English? To just be able to say, "Oh, hello, my name's David," and put your hand out. And a fucking headhunter with a spear goes, "Oh, hello."
Yeah, he's a phenomenal man. But going back to VR, right?
Okay.
Going off of our segue again.
We have
two more things I want to talk about before the end of the show.
Okay.
One is very, very quick, and that is a game that I played this week that I think you should all go and look at, if not check out. There will be a review coming to my channel, hopefully this week, but it's been a busy weekend.
Yeah, so link in the description.
Yeah, this game is a game called Jet Bounce. It is available on AppLab. It's not free. It is actually $15, and it was one of the few keys that I got sent over the past 3 weeks that for some reason my brain just said, you know what? Screw it. Let's try this one out. It looks a bit weird.
This is the point in the podcast where we need to be able to transition to video, which we haven't
100%.
We haven't quite figured out how to do yet, so I do apologise, but yes.
No, we're going to get there. We will get there. Yeah. So the Jet Bounce is basically, if any of you have played Don't Fall Down on the PC or watched it streamed and become fascinated by why on earth someone would find it fun to be in a cauldron with an axe, not an axe, a sledgehammer, trying to make his way up this weird and wonderful jank pile of doom. And obviously trying not to fall down.
Yeah.
This game is very similar. But it's in VR. Like, you're not using a sledgehammer, but you've been cursed by a witch. Ignore that bit because honestly it doesn't really matter. The point is that you can't stand still really. You're bouncing all over the place. Whenever you hit something, like the equal and opposite force happens, so that you can bounce off of things. And that makes it very, very difficult to actually make your way up these weird and wonderful mazes that are completely open space mazes, so that you can fall off and die at any given moment. And the only thing you have in order to make you move is this weird, I want to call it a gun that fires out some sort of like little rocket thing, and it gives you a small amount of boost that you can then use. And if you play it on the hard mode, you only go in that direction, and there's no other ability to direct yourself in the air. If you're on the easy version, like me, after I almost threw my headset at the wall, you have a small amount of air direction, and it's incredibly fun. It's incredibly fun. It's one of those games that I don't think you're going to spend 10 hours on. You're going to spend an hour on here and there every now and again. But honestly, I got lost in it for 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, cool. So what's the game called? What's the game called? Jet Bounce?
Jet Bounce.
Okay, so who's
it's on
the developer?
AppLab. It's well worth a look.
Okay, how much is it?
It's $14.99.
Okay, go check it out.
Which is quite expensive for an AppLab game, and I don't disagree with you. And I've said that to the, I've actually said that to the developer. I think they need to reduce their price. But honestly, it's interesting listening to it just for the Japanese or Chinese lady, some Asian accent that I can't quite place, with an incredibly good ability to speak English, giving you like these weird, out of nowhere, out of context signals. It's very, very strange, and it's not well configured, but it's so much fun.
There you go.
So yeah, go check that out. The last one I wanted to mention, just because Mac hadn't heard of it, is Ubisoft's game that is coming out in VR soon.
It's not Assassin's Creed, and it's not.
It's not Assassin's Creed.
It's not Splinter Cell.
It's not Splinter Cell.
Right.
It's actually not a game. It's not an existing IP either. In any way, shape, or form.
It's not experience, is it?
It's possibly an experience, but they are toting it as a game. They are releasing it in... I know how much you hate experiences, Mac. I know.
No, right. So, I was in Budapest, and I was in St. Wenceslas Square with my wife, and we were walking hand in hand, and a prostitute came up to me and she said, "Would you like a good time?" And I said, "I'm with my wife." And the prostitute said, "I'll do her as well." And for like 0.5 of a millisecond, when I looked at my wife, I thought, this is going to be a good day. So those kind of experiences I quite like. Oh, I'm in so much trouble. I'm in so much trouble.
I'm a big fan of that explanation. Massive fan.
Experiences are great within context. Oh my God, I've just probably revealed far too much of myself there to you.
This game then, right? This game is touted as... It's being released in conjunction with the anniversary of Notre Dame burning down.
Oh, right, okay.
And the reason being is they've completely recreated Notre Dame in VR. And you are going to be a firefighter, which is why you should be interested, Mac.
Right.
During the fires of Notre Dame. It is an escape room game.
No way!
In Notre Dame as a firefighter during the epic fire.
Wow. Okay, so how have they used photogrammetry to make the place real?
I think they've used I would imagine what they've done is they've used photogrammetry, because from the images that I've seen so far, it looks really spot on.
Okay. So this is important because I've actually been to Notre Dame.
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah. Okay. So I've walked around it. I've seen what it looked like. Before it obviously burned down. I've been on the roofs. I've seen the gargoyles. So this is... Oh no, you've got my interest now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a weird thing that came up on Twitter I think it was at the beginning of this week.
Okay.
Maybe the end of last week. And I was just like, hang on, that's Ubisoft. They don't make games except for Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
And Rayman. But yeah, no, this is a genuine thing. They have announced that this is what they're doing, and it should be out sometime in the next, I think 6 months, but I could be wrong on that one.
Okay.
But yeah, you're going to be a firefighter, Mac.
You know already. See, people are going to watch this back and they're going to go, he fucking knew. Anyway, that's a different thing. Let's go to the chat. So, Diamond Geezer's here, Mr. Louverture.
He is. Welcome, my man.
Oh, I love him. I tell you what, He's like Frank Bruno's funnier brother. He's got that laugh. He's fucking amazing.
I've played with him once. I would love to play with him again. He was the life of the party.
You've got to be careful when you say things like that, because you just get fucking butchered.
Do you know what? Take it however you want, and I'll still mean it that way.
Boop. Oh my God.
Who else we got? James Davis. I didn't actually see you before, my man. Welcome.
Yeah, hi James. Anthridge.
99 Red Pills go by. Actually, an amazing
99
name.
Red Pills go by. That's a great 90s reference. That's a great 90s reference.
Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed. Agreed. Yes, Assassin's Creed is an apt way of putting it, but hey, people still play it. I still enjoy it, even though I took a massive hiatus and came back to it.
Yeah. So, like to me, Splinter Cell, Sam Fisher is one of those games. He's like Hitman and also like the Master Chief. Like Sam Fisher is a massive part of my gaming life when I grew up. Like Splinter Cell was that incredible thing where you did you did the splits on the wall and the guy walked underneath and you dropped down and knocked him out. I'm not going to do that.
I mean, it was a great game.
Oh, I can't remember which one was the one I thought was the best. I think it was like the third one. I think it was like the third one where they actually got into their stride and they made the game absolutely perfect. But I love that.
I really enjoyed Blacklist, if I'm honest.
I never played.
Which was a much later version.
No, I never played Blacklist. I played the one before that, which I thought was quite good. But I love the whole thing about the light and dark, where you were in the shadows and they couldn't see you, but then you could nip out. So.
I always thought they needed to integrate more of that into Assassin's Creed, the early ones. But
yeah. So right. About 5 or 6 years ago, I went to Tuscany, and I went to San Gimignano, where they, remember the tall towers, the crazy tall towers. Yep. That was San Gimignano. I went to Voltaire, which was also in the game, and I went to where the Duomo is in Florence. Right. So I went to the Duomo in Florence, and I went to the bell tower, and I actually put that down as my Assassin's. I actually put a post on Facebook, said this is my Assassin's Creed tour, because I went to San Gimignano, I went to Voltaire, and I went to Florence, and I went to somewhere else. I can't remember. It's not going to come to me. But that's how important to me Assassin's Creed was, because I went to those places and it was like, I've been here as a character, and wow, they fucking got it right. Climbing up the Duomo as the character, I actually did that as me. I climbed up the Duomo and I walked around. I remember thinking, this is exactly what it was like as the character, and it was Jotti's Bell Tower. Oh, there you go, Jotti's Bell Tower.
Yeah.
Which is to the side of the Duomo in Florence. I climbed to the top, and I remember doing that as the character. And when I got to the top, there's a metal grate, because they've taken the bell out of the bell tower, so it's not actually a bell tower anymore. And there were 2 American tourists stood on the metal grate, and I walked up and I went, bang! And they were like, fuck! And I remember thinking, that's fucking genius, because that's what the character did in the game. He, So what do you think they're going to do? What do you think they're going to do with Assassin's Creed, and what do you think they're going to do with Splinter Cell? Probably 2 questions, so maybe split them.
What are they going to do with Assassin's Creed?
What do you
I don't know.
What do you want them to do?
What do I want them to do with Assassin's Creed?
What was your favourite Assassin's Creed? Mine was obviously
my favourite Assassin's Creed, by bar none, was Brotherhood. Like
Okay.
I loved that
All
game
right. That was.
so much. That was still Ezio Auditore.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Um,
Oh my
like
God. It's a
they'd
me.
got
It's a
most of it.
Mario.
Yeah,
It's his
they'd got
brother.
most of it right in number 2, and
Yeah.
then come Brotherhood, they perfected it,
Oh yeah.
and everything past that was okay, but it wasn't quite Brotherhood.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you there. Like Assassin's Creed 1 was poor. Assassin's Creed 2 was amazing. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was the one that I did the Florence Tuscany tour
Yeah.
for. And it, yeah. So
It was a great game.
how right? So so if you are working for Ubisoft and they say to you, "Oh, we just announced we're going Assassin's Creed," you go, "Fucking what? You can't do that in VR. You can't do that in VR. How do you do that in VR?"
Okay. How would I do that in VR? I think they need to scale it back. I think what they need to do is they need to take a city. No
Yeah.
more than that,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
less than that. They
yeah.
need to take a
Venice,
city.
Venice,
Hmm?
Venice. It's very small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, very small. They need to make it so they're not going to be able to make it every house, so they're going to have to do at least a reasonable amount of houses that you can go inside of, in order to actually get that feeling of grandeur. I don't know how they're going to do the wall climbing, in all honesty, because that was one of the big things with Assassin's Creed by the time it got to 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, was that they'd actually mapped out on each individual surface which
Yes.
bits you could
Yeah,
grab
yeah,
onto.
yeah.
And yeah, they could do the whole population 1 thing where you can literally climb anything, but that takes away from the fact that you are meant to be parkouring.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, I see. Right. So, okay. So, maybe make it more like the climb?
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Oh no, I actually really like that idea.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
take like photogrammetry
Photogrammetry, yeah.
of the area, redo that into a more usable sort of texture pack, and then add the climbs way of doing the climbing base into it. I really, really like that actually.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good. So, the height thing, because like for me, Assassin's Creed was always about the height. You would climb up and you would get the overall view, so you could
and
climb up.
hear the hawk noise, and yeah.
Yeah, oh, and you would dive into the straw. But the reason you climbed was to get that overall view. Now, Assassin's Creed, like Hitman, does that really well. Hitman does that really well. That big open space with lots of people. So obviously, Assassin's Creed could do that. You know that thing where you were like
Yeah.
walking along and you would like be following somebody, but you would blend in.
And it would go sort of grey and
Yeah. Right. So So Hitman already does that. So we've got that. We've got the climbing from the climb. So the thing about
Oh no, Anthridge in the chat has just pointed out something. He said, "Ever played Stride?
Stride,
That
yeah,
movement
yeah,
would be
yeah,
really
yeah.
kind of cool." And Stride, yes, Stride's movement was amazing, but it was very one way. It wasn't. You didn't go
was.
up and down too much, which is what we need to figure
Yeah.
out. Which is where the climb comes in. But yes, I do like the idea of using Stride's parkouring.
Yeah. So that's a great thing, Anthridge. Yeah. So parkour, climb, Hitman VR for the crowd, because I loved that thing in Hitman when you were following somebody and just like Assassin's Creed as well, where you just like stepped into the. You had to follow the guy with the beak, and he was going somewhere to do something. Yeah, do you remember that one? That mission. Yeah, and you had to stand next to the bench and you had to blend in. Oh wow!
Do you know what they need to get right for me though? More than anything.
For Assassin's
Is the
Creed.
ability, for Assassin's Creed in VR, is the ability to walk into a crowd and when somebody is coming near you that you want to assassinate, they need to make me feel like I've done it sneakily. They need to make me, I want to be able to press the button, have my knife out, and just very easily slide it into them. A little bit of haptics on the controller, pull it out, and carry on walking away. The problem is in Assassin's Creed is that when you did that, you would walk, and because you could see in third person, you were seeing what happened behind you. And they need to make some way of that being like you feeling awesome enough, but whilst also being able to be immersed enough to just walk away from the crime scene.
Right, so, right, this happened to me in Hitman, right, and I know I've been very critical of Hitman, but there are certain things it got right. So I did the full Dartmoor, Agatha Christie, Who Killed Who, on my live stream, and I actually got Alexa Thornbridge to commit suicide without actually touching her.
Awesome.
Yeah. And right, so I've played the flat screen version of this game for fucking months, and I knew you could do it. I couldn't personally figure out how to do it. And then in the live stream, it just all came together, and I was like, right, okay, I've done my evidence. I've got what I needed. She's gone out onto the balcony. I'm going to push her off. And as I walked up to her, she fucking jumped. And I was
awesome.
Honestly, I was fucking genuinely shocked. I was like, fuck. I actually managed to do that. And I didn't realise. So, for me, Assassin's Creed is about that. It's about that amazing, like, climbing over the Duomo in Florence, going up Giotti's bell tower, but doing, like, what you said, that walking away, kill, walk away, that.
But you've also got to be able to have, and I agree with what you're saying entirely, but what you've also got to be able to have in Assassin's Creed is not everyone played in the perfect stealth way, did they? They liked to actually get amongst the guards and had the sword fights.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a sword fighting mechanic similar to Blade and Sorcery within that.
Wow. Oh my God. The people who are watching from Ubisoft are thinking, oh, fucking bollocks. These two wankers.
Yeah, we're going to have to buy this AI. We're going to have to buy that AI. We're going to have to develop this mechanic, that mechanic.
The reason is because I remember, right, and I have never been to Venice, but there's the big square in Venice, and I remember having the pole, and I was taking on the guards in Venice, and you had to learn the moves to, like, defend and jab with the pole. And I remember thinking, like, bang, bang, A, B, C, D, Y, F, whatever it was. And you were like, boop, boop, boop. But imagine doing that in VR. Imagine if you're like, imagine if you had, could you learn a martial art in VR? Could you learn a martial art in VR?
There is an app coming to Quest that's in development at the moment, which is exactly that, I think.
Yeah.
Where they are trying to teach you as a game how to do certain types of kung fu. I think it is. So yeah, I can't. Once we get to the point where you've got full body tracking, whether that comes from cameras or from anything, but it needs to be consumer available.
Yeah.
I think that's the point where we can start doing the whole Neo sitting in the chair.
I know kung fu. I know kung fu.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the point where we can start learning that shit, when the actual cameras can work out where our feet are, how our knees are positioned, and be able to tell us whether we're in the right position, basically.
Yeah.
That's the point where we can start learning martial arts in VR.
So I boxed for a long time. I did Taekwondo and I did Aikido, and one of the best games I've ever played in VR is Thriller the Fight. It's a boxing simulator, and it is so good, and it is a massively huge cardio workout, because you actually boxing properly against real opponents. I know there's no weight to your punches, and obviously you're not getting hit back, which is part of the adrenaline. But like, thrill of the fight is the closest that I've ever got to actually sparring with another human being, because you kind of don't know what they're going to do. So if you're waiting for a martial arts game to teach you how to play martial arts, I would recommend downloading Thrill of the Fight. It's a boxing simulator, and it teaches you quite well how to defend yourself. It's really, really good, actually. It's really good. So
Okay, well, I have 2 keys for Thrill of the Fight, so I will plug one of them actually in and give it a go over the next couple of weeks.
Excellent.
I'll let you know how I get on, whether I actually break some windows, whether I break myself.
Yeah, because the thing about Thrill of the Fight is you need a space, because when you're boxing, I'm actually doing it myself. You need to. I'm using the Philly shell here because I'm a Muhammad Ali fan. So you need to actually move and box properly. So
Yep.
you can't stand still. Like, you're going back to your thing about you can't play VR seated. You can't play a VR.
You can, but just not most games, I don't feel. Like, you can play like racing sims and stuff like that seated, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course. I mean, I've got a sim racing rig is right there. You can. But like, Thrill of the Fight is one of those interesting games that it's been out for quite a long time now, and I don't think anybody knows about it. But if you're a boxer or you like martial arts, it's incredible, because if you're pretty good, you can get up to quite a high level, and these guys they proper kick your ass. If you're not paying attention.
I like the sound of that.
It is. It's hard, and I think one of the first videos I ever did on my channel was a workout video, and Thrill of the Fight was like a workout. It was proper workout. Yeah.
I've actually been planning on getting back into doing my workouts in VR. I've put on a lot of weight over the past year. After losing a lot of weight over the past year.
Okay.
You're about to pull out the same thing I have set in a box right here, mate. Right here.
I knew it. Right, so okay, so all right, okay, I've got an idea. So we'll do a Thrill of the Fight quest with the dumbbells and without the dumbbells.
Yeah, no, okay. I'll do then.
Have you got one of those?
I'll do. Yeah, no, I've got one.
Cool. Right. Yeah. Do a workout, like fight the first guy, and work out what your calories were, then put the dumbbells on and do the same thing, and we will do a comparison.
Yeah, no, I'd be interested in that. We can talk about that on the next podcast.
Okay. Yeah. So
I like that sound. I like the sound of that.
Okay. So I hate to say this, but I'm a lot fitter than you.
100%.
So, yeah, so I'd be interested to see what your heart rate does and what your calorie count would be compared to.
Yeah, my heart rate will go through the fucking roof, mate. It'll be amazing. I'll be surprised if I survive it.
How about Thrill of the Fight multiplayer?
I love the sound of Thrill of the Fight multiplayer. I don't like the application of it because I just don't think that we are anywhere near making that work.
No, I know. But so full body tracking for martial arts. So I've boxed my whole life. I've done taekwondo. I've done aikido. It's like martial arts is a big thing in my life. So how incredible would that be if you could do full body tracking and me and you could train or do a sparring session, or that would be amazing. Right, so teledildonics and B haptics. Right, so I'm not going to kick you in the cock, right? But
Yeah.
but you see what I mean? Like a Behaptics vest with yeah, that would be it. Oh wow!
Oh no, they have that, don't they? This is what someone who was mentioning it earlier. Someone mentioned Thrill Seeker earlier,
All right.
and I think he was looking at a. Sorry, I can't actually see who said it. Whoever it was, thank you for mentioning it because it was Mike GC.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, no, I was watching one of his videos where he was showing off. It's a belt essentially that goes down to your thighs and
Right.
gives you full body tracking.
Okay.
Just off of this one thing, basically, and
Okay.
it looks like small enough that you'd be able to wear it as a consumer without too much effort. Like it just goes on over the top of things, and that's not bad. Like I honestly hope that Project Cambria is going to
Yeah.
give full body camera tracking without you having to use something like a belt, but it's never
Yeah.
going to be as good as a physical tracker of some
Yeah.
description.
I mean, I've got like 3 of the HB trackers that you put on your feet and your wrists and your
Yep.
sorry, you put on your and they work really well with live live integration, like for your avatars and stuff like that. But if you could have if you could have full body tracking with haptics and like a kind of UFC kind of license, imagine that. Imagine if you could fight Adrian Anasani or Ngannou or somebody like that, like in virtual reality. That
Oh yeah, no, that's some fun shit right
as
there.
long as
I
you
love.
as long as you don't get knocked the fuck out.
Oh yeah, no. Imagine if the haptics were that good on the PSVR 2 that the vibrating facial interface
Yeah.
just went boom.
Boom! Like fucking knocked it the fuck out. No, it's exciting. Like for me, I mean, I go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and I train on a bag, and it's great hitting a bag, and you think you're a fucking legend, but yeah, what if somebody was as good as you or better than you and they fucking kicked your ass, but in virtual reality, and you had a haptics vest on with I think that'd be pretty cool.
I completely agree with you. I think that we've been chatting for 2.25 hours, man. I think that's probably about the time that we need to wrap it up, don't you?
Oh, well, didn't even seem that long.
I know, it just fucking flies by, mate.
You want to go and play Zenith, don't you? That's what you want to do. You want to go and play Zenith.
I really, really want to go and play Zenith, but I have a ton to get finished before I can even think about work tomorrow, which I'm going to be up at 4:30. So, unfortunately,
Right.
for those of you who aren't in the UK, I'll probably get to bed at 10 and I'll get up at 4:30. So that's 6.5 hours, which is roughly my average hour's sleep per night. But I still feel dead every time I do it.
But hopefully you've had a great time, and we are going to call this then. We're done. I hope you've had a good time. I've
Been great,
enjoyed myself.
guys.
Rekin
Thanks for joining us,
Krew.
Rekin Krew.
Wow, it's been amazing. Look at the chat. The chat has been fucking crazy. It's been crazy. And
We've had consistent viewership. It's been lovely.
We didn't, and we talked about we went off track. We didn't even talk about what we wanted to really talk about either.
We talked about a lot of what we wanted to talk
Talk
about.
about a lot of stuff. Right. So, anyway, I'm Mac in VR. That's Shuey.
I'm Shuey.
PowerOnVR. Thanks for watching.
Live life loud, people. See you later.
Exactly. Goodbye. Love you. Done. Right. We're gone.
Awesome.
That was amazing.
Oh, that was a good stream, man.
That was a great stream. Oh, fuck.
I think we've
are we still
pretty
talking?
much hit it on the head with this, mate.